Welcome to the Author's Porch, where every good conversation happens. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride from author to author. We want to give you an experience where you learn and enjoy the conversation. Authors tell you about their journey, you learn about new books, and at the end of the day, you go home with a smile on your face because the Author's Porch is a beacon of light, bringing you home to the family you never knew you had. We hope that you enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Author's Porch, where every great conversation happens, and it happens because we trusted Brendan and Vamsi at Master Talk to show us the power of effective communication. We also have a great cup of coffee from Third Day Coffee Seguin, a Christ-centered veteran-owned coffee company. Today on the show, we have the fantabulous Jennifer Hobbs. How are you doing, Jennifer?
I'm so good, CJ. Thank you for having me on here. I'm so excited about this.
I am too. I have been waiting for this conversation after we talked on your show, and we had such an amazing
We
time.
did.
It was like we just started just yabbering, and then next thing I knew, it was like an hour later, and it was like, oh, we gotta go. Like,
I know.
So guys, let me give you a little bit of background on Jennifer, because I know a little bit about her, and I know I'm going to know more about her through the moments that we chat and the years that we continue to chat and everything. But Jennifer is an Army veteran who has a compassion to help other people, and she does that through veteran nonprofit organizations that she helps. She also empowers people to grow through their struggle with her podcast that she has. She inspires others to embrace their journey, and she does that through her business, Buff and Hobbs Impact LLC. If that isn't the coolest name for a company, I don't know what is. And sorry, I've got like this hair that's attacking me. That you're trying to talk, and you're like, hello, why are you in my face right now? So, and she is constantly sharing people's struggles through Celebrate the Struggle podcast that she has, and I listen to those stories, and it's phenomenal because she has such a caring voice, such a caring way of asking the questions and just providing the space for people. And on top of that, check it out, it's about to happen. What's about to happen? This is about to happen. Yeah, she has this fantastic book out, Calmed, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, because I do this every once in a while. I have this brain that goes woohoo over
Me
here,
too.
over there. This is the story, you and your husband's story, correct? Of
Yes.
your story in combat together. You guys served together in a combat situation. So this, you guys, I'm about to read this. I'm finishing up one of the books that is being reviewed in the April issue of the Author's Porch magazine. And this is the second veteran book that is being reviewed in the April issue of the Author's Porch magazine. So I've been like patiently, I told myself as soon as I got it, I was ready to dive in, but I was like, organize, CJ,
I
stay
have to do that to
organized.
myself too.
It's so hard.
It
Like,
is.
why is this adult thing so sucky?
I recently saw a meme that said, parenting, 1 star, would not recommend. We could do the same thing for adulting. Adulting, 1 star, would not recommend.
Like anything above Woody Woodpecker, not recommending.
Right.
So, how did you get on this journey of helping other people? Because I know, I mean, you've had your own journey, right? Of needing help and having to go through your own struggles. So, why give back? A lot of people just say, you know what, I've got my own stuff.
That's a really good question. First of all, thank you so much for the introduction. And thank you again for having me on here. It is an honor and a pleasure. I would say that I got on this journey. It's always been resonating in me, but it was really 2 years ago when I had a traumatic brain injury when I fainted, and that took me and you'll read it in my book. the following months took me into a dark place that I hadn't revisited in 18 years. And
Yeah.
luckily, I am in tune enough with myself to identify that and realize like, oh goodness, like I don't want to do this. I can't do this. I need to do something about it because nobody else is going to do it for you. You got to do it for yourself. And fortunately, like I knew that, of course took me 36 years to figure that out, but at 36, I was able to identify that. And so I just didn't know what to do. And I started small. And one of the things I said was, I'm going to get back to writing. And through the journey of writing my book and that whole personal development, it started to add fuel to a spark that was already started years ago. And that spark was to help others, other veterans, their families, and just be of service where I'm called to. And so the timing wasn't right 8 years ago, but it's definitely time.
Yeah. Absolutely. It always amazes me when military members, I mean, you lived a life of service while in the service, right? And you would think that that would be enough, right? Because,
Hmm.
the story of you and your husband, you were in a combat situation together. That had to have been hard all on its own. So it always amazes me when you've already given so much to come out and still give back. Can you
Hmm.
tell us a little bit about your journey in the military and in that life of service?
Hmm. Actually, so Ryan Hobbs and I, my husband, he wasn't my husband at the time. I was deployed, I was mobilized when I was 19 years old, reported
Wow.
on December 7th, the anniversary of Pearl Harbor,
Wow.
for a deployment, a 15-month deployment. And that is when I was revisited by this ginger, I recall. And I was like, what? I seen him like a year and a half ago at a drill. And that was when he had like showed back up and like wanted to deploy with our unit. And I got this thing for redheads. And so I started running my sweet game on him. And the rest is history. No.
Yeah, he was in it. He was in it to win it after that game.
And so that's where our story began. But really, the story is not, I didn't mean for like it's not a love story, and I actually did not have the intentions nor want it to be a love story. I wanted it to be a reflection of one, two. Well, it's a dual memoir, so two veteran perspectives of joining the military. Well, of a deployment, but then I decided to back it up and show like how we both joined, totally different, like I'm like, oh, I want to follow my family's footsteps, whereas he's like sitting on a Saturday with his best friend on the couch, like, what you want to do today? Why you want to join the army? Yeah, bro, let's go. And there's that. And
Yeah.
so it's a story of my unit, like the 1544th Transportation Company out of Paris, Illinois. It it's an incredible story, and it's just mine. I know that I'm one of like 160 people that experience that year, and everybody has their own perception of it. And so from there, as I dove into these feelings, these stories, and started to put them down on paper from what happened 18 years ago, um, that was when I decided I wanted to help spread that message. But I'm getting off on a tangent back to the story. That deployment, that was kind of what sparked all of it. It was a rough deployment. The five boots hanging on the cover of my book
Mm,
represent the five soldiers that died in our unit.
wow.
I hung their boots. I got to tell you guys this
Very
because it
symbolic.
means so much to me. That cover has actually come a long, long way. It started as something totally different. And as we were brainstorming, my publishing team and my book coach and myself were brainstorming how best to catch your eye and kind of give you a glimpse about what the book is about. That was when it dawned on me, oh my gosh, I can hang my battle buddy's boots on the wire like she wanted. And what I'm referring to is my battle buddy, Jessica Covey. She died in the truck with my husband when he was hit by a roadside bomb on October 6th. That is his Alive Day that we celebrate every year. But we also celebrate Covey Day, and that is to celebrate the life of Jessica Covey and the amazing human being and soul and the legacy she lives on. And she had said she was the fifth person to die in our unit. Four people after four memorials. So two of which were in the same day because they had both been killed by a mortar attack. So after three memorials, one of which had honoring two of them, every memorial they kept playing. And I I really appreciate the song American Soldier by Toby Keith. But when it's played at four memorials for your battle buddies, it definitely starts to like not. It's kind of you see what I'm getting at. It's like
Yeah.
it doesn't have the meaning.
No,
No, it becomes like,
it
oh
hits you
gosh, not
different.
this song again.
Yeah.
And she walked away from that fourth memorial and joking in her wonderful personality, but serious at the same time, said, don't you play that song at my memorial if I die. You better play something like, damn, it feels good to be a gangster and throw my boots over the power line. And we never got to do either, neither of them because that was frowned upon,
Yeah.
whatever. But it was then that I was like, oh my gosh, I can hang her boots on the power line on my book. And there it is. Her
Yeah.
boots will hang forever. And then I
Just
decided
like
I'll
she
put all
wanted.
five of them. Yes, just
Yeah.
like she wanted them. And so I dedicated the book to her, and my favorite page is that dedication page, letting her know that her boots will hang forever.
Wow, I got chills because I don't think that everyone understands the mind of veterans and the things that we think about in those places. And we pick our, for lack of better words, our death songs. We pick how we want to be remembered, and
Mhm,
luckily you and I can sit here and talk about that. But she knew how she wanted to be remembered,
mhm.
and you did it.
I did.
You gave her her wish when everybody in the uniform and all of the rules and regulations wouldn't allow it. But one of the most wonderful things you can do for another human being is to honor their wishes when they leave this world, and you did that. So thank you, and thank you for making me cry on
I
TV.
know, stop it, I put on makeup.
Ah! We did this on your show too.
Yes, we did.
We're just two crying old biddies
You're
here.
such a sissy, CJ.
Yeah, we're just two crying old biddies. We cry every time we're together. What's going on? I did notice one of the things we have the same cover designer, and I love that.
What we do?
Yeah, so you have Mibble Art did your cover design, and I love them. I go with Mibble Art for 90% of my cover designs as well, and I think they're fabulous. And they also won Cover Designer of the Year with Pulse, the magazine out of Houston, and we sponsored that literary award for them this year as well. So they're a fantastic group of
Mm,
cover designers, and I don't think they get enough recognition, but I sincerely hope they do after this, because this right here is a
it's
fantastic cover. And now knowing the meaning behind it, I can't even.
yeah,
So,
that's hard to piggyback off of, right?
right? Like, like we gotta keep talking, but it's like mic drop, boom, show over. But no, seriously. And now you you and your husband came together in that place, right? You came together and you kind of formed this bond where you later on, how long after leaving that place was it that you guys realized this was it, that you do or die, you're in it to win it type of, you're going to do the dang on thing and then kind of help each other get through this thing called life after combat.
Okay, so I would say that would be it's 5, 6 years. To be honest with you, as explain in the book, we both came back. We came back at different times because he was, hit by a roadside
Yeah.
bomb and returned home to go through madness, being on med hold. He had his entire upper jaw smashed from the truck that landed on his face, knocked all his teeth out. And so being on med hold was vigorous. That's not even the word. It was huge. So much. So many stories of just being challenged for 2 years, like being in a lame place. But Carl Clinic out of Champaign, Illinois, like successfully rebuilt his upper jaw, taking bone from his back, doing a bone graft, and implanting these 6 metal posts that his teeth pop into every day. But in the midst of him struggling with all that, that I completely couldn't relate to, I'm struggling with my own stuff, which he can't relate to. Like we're on just two totally different, roller coasters of the transition back to life. And we separated, and then he had a child with another gal, and I love her, appreciate her. She's an amazing mom for my bonus son, and I'm very grateful to have the extended family in my life. But that's where things took us, and so separately we went through our own personal growth. And then um, like when so when we had we had exited our relationships. It happened to be at the same time. He reached out to me, asked me on a date, and I thought to myself, like, I messed this up once, which you'll read about that in the book. Like I feel like I take a lot of ownership in being a hot mess, and I didn't want to miss the opportunity to go on a date with him. And so we are different people now, but we do continue to, like, it's a lifetime, as you know, CJ, it's
Yeah.
a lifetime of navigating with this post traumatic growth process. And I'm
Yes.
grateful to be in the growth process and not still stuck in the post traumatic stress, can't go anywhere process.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I mean, if you care about somebody, you're willing to grow with them and find ways to navigate through it. And that's a fantastic story because you were able to find each other again. You found that love that you created in the beginning, and you appreciate, like you said, that bonus family, because that, I believe that everything is meant to happen and everything is meant to be the way it
Hmm.
is. And that's absolutely beautiful.
Hmm.
Beautiful.
It really is.
So you're navigating through all of that now, and you have children of your own, correct?
I do. Yes, so in addition to my bonus son, who's 13 years old, we have a 8-year-old and
Mhm.
a 4.5. Think she's going on 18-year-old.
Oh my goodness, the girls, they are. Oh my, I have a 21 and a year old boy and a 19-year-old girl, but my daughter was always older than my son. She was she was always older. She was always the one that I never really worried too much about my son sassing because I would just give him the look and he would stop. But my daughter, she was like, "That ain't working on me. I know all your tricks."
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the process of writing the book, you're published. You didn't publish on your own. You went through a publishing company, correct?
Yes.
How was that process? Was that something that you enjoyed? Was it difficult? Was it,
It was so enjoyable. It was
yeah.
probably unlike most people's,
Mhm.
honestly, because when I got to that dark place, recovering from a head injury and then about to go back to work being a teacher and we get quarantined, I get sent home as a remote teacher before I even get to go back to work, and
Yeah.
my kids get put on remote learning. So I went from head injury recovery, a very vigorous one, um, and to virtual teacher and virtual parent. And so once I found myself in a lame place and decided to set some goals for myself and get back to writing, it was just it all just worked out amazingly. And it's it is a friend, which was more like an acquaintance in high school, to be honest with you. I love her. I absolutely love her, but in high school I didn't know her very well. But now she has her own publishing company,
Wow.
and she happened to come across my Facebook and 2 weeks after I set that goal for myself, which is so weird because you know how your phone is super creepy and like if you say something out loud, next thing you know, an ad pops up.
Yeah.
I totally did not say this out loud. I did not tell anyone about wanting to get back to writing. And by get back to writing, I mean like this is something sheltered I do on my own. Like I don't even talk to anyone about it. You know, 15 years ago, I was saying, yeah, I'm going to write a book someday, writing in the privacy of my own home, usually in the darkest times,
Yeah.
that was when I was able to journal. And so all of a sudden, something comes across my Facebook saying 5-day free writers workshop for beginning writers. And I was like, okay, it's summertime. I'm off teaching right now. Like, let's do it. And so it was exactly what I needed. And we continued the conversation, to sum it up, like, her passion, it's very clear that has stepped away from a job with 6 figures, a company car, a company computer, this, that, and
Wow.
the other. She stepped away from that and all her degrees to follow her dream of writing. Well, she's a published, best-selling author as well, and then starting her publishing company so that she could help other people get their story out. And so when I was able to identify through those conversations that she loved my story just as much as I did, and she wanted this not just for Burning Soul Press, her publishing company, she wanted it more for me. That was when I knew, like, I don't want to self-publish. I don't want to consider that anymore. I want to do this with her. She was my book coach, um, and I I wanted to do it with her. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah. When somebody believes in you as much as you believe in them, then you have this synchronicity that just works, right? That just
Absolutely.
is phenomenal. That's
Absolutely.
amazing. I love when people, it sounds like her whole mission is resonates with your mission. Like she wants to give back in her realm, which is authoring and publishing, the way you're giving back in your realm, which is veteran and celebrating like that struggle that we
Mhm.
all go through, in our minds and in our souls sometimes. So I think that's just like
Absolutely.
that great connection, that just kind of just that magic mold.
Mhm. It was exactly what I needed and what my soul needed, and things have changed drastically. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In 2 years, I've grown a lot. Maybe not my vocabulary, from the traumatic brain injury, but, that's what thesaurus is for, right?
Right? And word check and Grammarly and pro writing aid and good editors.
Yes.
Because if you, it's funny because like I'll send my work off and like to people and I'll be like, this hasn't been edited. I know it's, messed up or whatever. I understand that. And the first thing they send back is, oh my God, this is so bad with grammar. And I'm like, I told you it wasn't edited. Like, what did,
Yeah, you're
like,
an
I
8 or
told
like,
you.
just read it.
Yeah. Like, what did you expect me to be smart? That's not happening. Like, I'm
To be
just
good with words, what?
I just talk a lot. Do you hear the way I talk?
Stop yelling at me.
Yeah. But when you were finished writing it, now this is the part that everyone goes through. When you were ready to release it to the world, how was that feeling?
Scary.
Yeah.
Very scary. I mean, especially especially being a teacher. And
Okay.
and I was already the type of person where like I always feel, I have those issues of like thinking everyone's talking about me and like are they
Anxiety.
judging me? Yeah, like
Yeah, that's
and
the anxiety. Yeah.
so on top of already having those feelings, like I was a teacher and I was like in the
Excuse me.
eye of community and vulnerable to be judged,
Yeah.
and I knew that was scary. That was really scary. And honestly, like it still kind of is. Definitely, I can't say kind of. It definitely is. Um,
What
but
was the Go ahead.
in the end, like my I my mission and what I want to do and my strength and what I've learned like overcomes that fear. And I know that failure, like success, comes from failure. So we can stop tiptoeing around the stuff people don't want to talk about. And that's the stuff I want to put at the forefront, like to help other people.
Now, have you had any response from where you're at in your civilian life? From
Not negative. So that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, not that anyone's told me. But no, just positive, honestly, just positive. And then for people to see me step out of the fear of having two master's degrees, 12 years in teaching, and step away from that to follow a so-called
Wow.
dream, um, that has left some people without words and just shocked and like, wow, like I could never do it, and sometimes it comes across like I've had someone be like, oh, I'm glad it's not my wife that resigned, like, but most of the time it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous of you, like you are so brave, and so most of it's been positive, and I know
Yeah.
it's super shocking,
I
my
think it's total boss. Like, to
right.
be able to, I mean, one, to get a master's degree is like a lot of freaking work. And then to get two of them and to have this whole society's view of a normal career, right? And to live in that plane where and then to just say, you know what? I don't need this because that's not my passion. My passion is this, and I'm going to go live this.
Right.
That's like dropping the microphone and going, I'm going to pave my own road. Like, I'm following that chick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I would hope that more people see that and know that you could do that. Like you're fine. You don't have to follow what's expected from
Yeah.
everyone else. You don't have to follow what you've had planned your whole life. Like life is too short to do what everyone else is expecting you to do.
Yeah, like that's the TEDx talk that I want my daughter to listen to. That's the TEDx talk that I want to take my daughter and my son to say,
Mhm.
you know what, this is what I did. And I walked away from all of it because it was not burning a hole in my soul. It
Right.
was not telling me every day that I was happy. So, and when I walked away, I was living my purpose and I was more successful because of that.
So much more fulfilled.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much more fulfilled.
That's what life is supposed to be about.
Truly, truly. Like we should, whether you have 1 day left or 50 years, like this is how it should feel. It should feel fulfilling. You should feel like, yeah, like I did today what I wanted to do. And even though that tramp made me mad, I'm good.
Right? Right, because when you're in a place where you're living your best life, that tramp isn't going to bother you because you're going to be like, I'm sorry that your life is so miserable, but I'm cool over here. I'm going to have
Yeah.
my cake right now, honey.
Uh-huh.
Like it's not even going to phase you the way it would if you were busting your butt in that 9 to 5, constantly stressed. If you're in that 9 to 5 that is stressing you and you're hustling and bustling, you're ready to rip her head off. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
it's kind of like what's more important? Like I have this quote. I said, what's more important, the fear or the victory?
Mhm.
And you just said all of it. Like that's what we need to be teaching. That's where you need to be on those stages speaking that very message to every single child in the you need to be on those school stages. Say,
Sign
you know
me up.
what? Yes. Yes. So, if you had any advice to give to somebody that has a story that they need to tell, or somebody that's stuck in that 9 to 5, living because they have to pay the bills, but they have a passion that they want to follow, and they want to break free, but they don't know how, what would your advice be?
I would say trust yourself. The fact that you're even thinking about it, there's a reason. There's a calling. There's something else for you. You have a message, you have a voice, you have a purpose that you've identified. You know it, you're feeling it. That fear is intense and it's going to come at you like 10 times, like tenfold is what I'm trying to say. It's going to come at you because that is when you will be attacked the most, when you are up leveling. Is that what it's called? Up level, like leveling up. Yes. Like trust yourself. Like follow your heart. Push that fear aside. You are far stronger than that fear.
Amen. Amen. Start writing that speech for Ted. Ted's
Mm,
gonna be calling, Jennifer.
I
Ted's
got
gonna
it.
be calling. So what's your next project?
Well, I'm in the midst of working on my second book.
Okay.
So one of the parts, so in Calmed, one of the parts that I felt like I did not give it justice because, well, is the end as we talk about the war at home and what that looks like for a veteran and for their family, the parents, the kids, the siblings, the friends, the employers. Like, that's a whole nother story in itself. And so I found myself like, whoa, I can't even go there. That is so much more. And so that is the story I'm working on now. I want to be able to enlighten the world and show them what what combat looks like 20 years later. Not for the veteran, not just for the veteran, but for the veteran's kid. Like there's so much combat has this ripple effect and it affects so many. And I want to be able to enlighten other people, not just enlighten them and give them more of an understanding, but shed a message of hope to those that are in the midst of that struggle and like, oh, I'm not the only one. Like, and that's quite a challenge. I'm going to keep talking to people. Yeah, that's what I really want. I want people to share their stories with me, not just on my podcast. It does not have to be on my podcast. I want to be able to illustrate to the world what combat on the home front looks like because it's something that continues on for a lifetime.
Yeah. What would be really great as well, get all those kids together now that they're grown up and just have like a convention of all those kids now that they're growing up because all those
Yes.
kids feel like they're alone too. And
Yes.
they think that only their parents went through that, or only their parent was this, or only their parent was that. I had my daughter tell me when she turned 19 that there was a time in my life that I was toxic.
Mm,
And I mean, it gutted me, because there's things that, and she thinks that no other kid ever went through that. And I'm like, oh man, if you could only just talk to some of these other,
yeah.
we were all toxic, honey. We just didn't know how
Right. Right.
to deal with so many things for continuing that conversation because it doesn't just stop once you walk away from your boots. It doesn't stop when you put the weapons down, take the flak jacket and the helmets off, sign your DD 214. It continues. So keep continuing that conversation. I say it wherever great conversation happens, and you're going to continue those conversations. Like, those are the conversations that matter. So
Absolutely.
I've put all of your links here in the show notes, but for the people that are going to listen in the podcast format in the next couple of days, when I get this on the podcast format, where can people reach out to you if they want to book you for a show, a speaking engagement, or listen to what you do or get your book? What's one of the best links to get a hold of you?
Well, my book is available on Amazon and other platforms. It's also on Audible. I recorded it myself, so that is, you
Hey.
don't get the pictures from the book, but you get all the emotion straight from me. And I am author Jennifer Hobbs on Facebook and Instagram. And you can also reach out to me at Jennifer at thejenniferhobbs.com. That's my email. But my website, where you can also get more information, see previous interviews I've done, and also show your interest in my podcast, is thejenniferhobbs.com.
Awesome. Well, we've come to the part of the show where we turn it over and we make it the Jennifer Hobbs show. I give
Oh
you two
boy.
minutes. I give you 2 minutes. I take myself off the screen, and anything that we didn't cover in the show that you want to make sure that we cover, or that you want to bring up, that's your time to talk about anything that you want to talk about. I usually take the cues to bring myself back on. If you're like, okay, well, I only needed like 30 seconds or a minute or something like that, I'll pop myself back on and take over and we'll end the show. But if you need the whole 2 minutes, don't hesitate to take the entire 2 minutes. So I'm going to turn it over to you if you're ready, Jennifer. And now it becomes a Jennifer Hobbs
Let's
show.
do it.
All right.
Jennifer Hobbs Show. Wow, I feel so special. The Jennifer Hobbs Show featured on the author's porch. I am winning at life. You guys, thank you so much for joining us or watching the replay of this. As CJ said, I do have my own podcast called Celebrate the Struggle. A little bit about that, I want to tell you. The reason why I started that is because I wanted to have another space where I could share more of my story and the things I've learned to help other people. But I wanted to share other people's stories of struggle, some of trauma, and give them the space to put it out there, but not let our past define our future. And so to show other people that our struggles will not overcome us. In fact, we will overcome our struggles. So that's a little bit about Celebrate the Struggle. And I really want to get more different perspectives from people on the home front. As I mentioned before, I am dying for more research on this. Parents of soldiers, children, siblings, just your perspective to be able and educate, enlighten other people on what combat looks like on the home front. Because a lot of people don't really know. A lot of people think it's just like jumping at sounds, and that's not what it's about. It continues on for a lifetime. And so for me, Jennifer Hobbs, in addition to having Celebrate the Struggle podcast, I am doing other things on the side. You can hook up with me for accountability on personal development and self care, or accountability on memoir writing. I have a framework called Found. I created it myself. Holy cow, creator of a framework. Found is what I created when I was trying to figure out how best I wanted to help veterans, and that was to help them help their families so that their families could be equipped to best help them. And so Found is a framework of finding yourself, like focusing on yourself, knowing your triggers, knowing, getting in the right headspace to be able to help someone before, opening up those lines of communication with either a soldier or really just anyone in your life. This framework pertains to just life in general. Opening up those conversations, finding way is going to be best to communicate with who you're hoping to help you is having those uncomfortable conversations. Be ready for them, knowing like what to expect, how to respond, because sometimes you definitely can't expect stuff, knowing how to respond, and using what you have learned through opening the conversations and having those uncomfortable chats, navigating the needs. N is navigating needs and resources. There's so much out there, but that is the process of trying to help someone, right? And then D, you get to dedication to development, which continues on for a lifetime. And actually, we all live in the same, this place called life, where you can run into something where it takes you boom right back to F. You need to focus on yourself. And so it's not a framework where you start at the beginning, end at the end, and get a certificate. Yay, you're done. You're good. It is a framework that continues for a lifetime. And I could teach you more about it.
Awesome. I love all the things that you are doing and how all of them are surrounded around helping other people and creating a space for all of them to be better within their own skin. And thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for this beautiful book and letting us know the exact reason behind the entire design and for honoring the beautiful soul that all of your friends were that you lost on this deployment. I'm extremely blessed that you were chosen, you and your husband both were chosen to come home, because I believe we were all chosen to come home and from the places that we were at. I'm so extremely blessed to have met you, Jennifer, and to be able to call you a friend and somebody that I know that we will continue to have many conversations. And guys, make sure that you come back each week and watch us either live or on the podcast right here on Facebook. You can also ask Alexa or Siri to play the latest episode. Head to our website to catch the issue of the Author's Porch magazine. Alexa's talking to me. I forgot to unplug her. I do this every once in a while.
That's
If you're going to submit an article, Alexa, cancel. She actually started playing music this time. Awkward, yeah. If you're going to submit an article, ask for your book to be recommended or ask for a book review. Make sure that you get those in on our website before the 1st of March, which is our deadline for the April 4th issue. We want to continue making authors' dreams come true by providing them a platform to shine. We will see you guys next time. And if you appreciate conversations like we do and want to become a better speaker, visit our friends Brendan and Vamsi at mastertalk.ca, where they teach you how to use the power of your voice. Don't forget, stay awake with a nice cup of coffee from Third Day Coffee Seguin, the best cup of coffee on this side of heaven. That's at thirddaycoffeeseguin.com. Until next time, my friends, I'm CJ. This is Jennifer. Make sure you go read her book and write on. Bye, Jennifer. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
The Author's Porch is a certified veteran-hosted podcast. Show your support. Tune in, share, and subscribe.